Use headphones for a better experience.
I thought moving in with a stranger to save money was the worst decision I ever made. I was wrong. The real horror began after they disappeared, because even after they were gone, they never really left. I was desperate. My rent had skyrocketed, and I needed a roommate fast. I found Daniel through an online ad. He seemed normal, a bit quiet but polite, and he paid his half of the rent on time. What more could I ask for? At first, everything was fine. We had our routines. He'd come home late, always carrying his oversized backpack, and lock himself in his room. I figured he was just a private guy. But then little things started to feel off. One night, I came home late from work to find the kitchen light flickering. Daniel's backpack was on the table, open, with some strange items inside: candles, old books, and what looked like bones. I called out to him, but his door was shut, as usual. The next morning, the backpack was gone, and Daniel acted like nothing happened. Things got weirder. I started waking up at odd hours to hear whispering coming from his room. At first, I thought he was on the phone, but the whispers were wrong, low, guttural, and unsettling. One night, I pressed my ear to his door. The whispers stopped immediately, and the door creaked open a crack. "Do you need something?" Daniel asked, his eyes dark and unblinking. After that, I avoided him as much as possible. Then one day, he was gone. I came home to find his room empty. No note, no warning, just gone. I figured he'd moved out without telling me. I was annoyed but relieved, until I started hearing the whispers again. At first, I thought I was imagining it. I'd hear them late at night, faint and distant, like they were coming from inside the walls. Then I started finding his things around the apartment, his backpack, his books, even the candles. One night, I heard the whispers coming from his room. My hands trembled as I turned the knob. The room was empty, completely empty. I convinced myself I was stressed, that my mind was playing tricks on me. But then, the dreams began. In them, Daniel was standing in the hallway, his face blank and lifeless. He'd say, "You shouldn't have opened the door." I'd wake up drenched in sweat, only to hear faint footsteps outside my room. One evening, I decided to get rid of his things. As I went through his backpack, I found a notebook filled with strange symbols and drawings. At the back was a note in shaky handwriting: "Do not open the door after midnight, no matter what you hear." I laughed nervously, trying to shake off the unease. But that night, at exactly midnight, I heard footsteps pacing outside my room. I stayed in bed, clutching the blanket, but the footsteps stopped outside my door. Knock, knock. My heart pounded. "Let me in," a voice Daniel's, but distorted, like it was coming from a broken speaker. I didn't open the door, but the knocking continued for hours. When it finally stopped, I mustered the courage to peek into the hallway. It was empty, but the walls were covered in scratches. Over the next few days, the activity escalated. Lights flickered, objects moved on their own, and the whispers turned into screams. I called a priest, desperate for help. He walked into Daniel's old room and immediately froze. "There's something wrong here," he said, clutching a rosary. "This isn't just a haunting, it's a doorway." The priest tried to cleanse the apartment, but the activity only got worse. That night, I woke up to find Daniel sitting at the edge of my bed. "You let it out," he said, his voice eerily calm. I blinked, and he was gone. I moved out the next day, leaving everything behind. But it didn't matter. Wherever I go, the whispers follow. I hear footsteps at night, and sometimes I see Daniel in the reflection of windows or mirrors, watching me. This experience taught me a valuable lesson. Desperation can lead us to ignore red flags, to accept things we shouldn't. In today's world, we rush into decisions, jobs, relationships, living situations, without asking questions. But sometimes, the cost of ignoring those red flags is more than you're willing to pay. If you ever feel like something is wrong, trust your instincts, because once you open the door, you might not be able to close it.
Don't miss out on the scares. Go subscribe to the channel for terrifying stories. legend breakdowns, and more. Bell turn on notifications and experience horror like never before.